In the last problem, we completed problem number 22. And at the end of the video, I said we're going to complete problem number 23 next. But we're actually going to complete problem 24 before we complete problem number 23. We don't necessarily have to do all the problems in order. And the reason I want to do 24 first is because in 23, we've already read lines 1 through 11, first of all, the intro. And 23, based off of the answer sources, we're probably going to have to read not only in the beginning, like lines 5 through 6, 9 through 10, which we've read, but also make sure we've read lines 23 through 29. In 24, we just have to read lines 12 through 19. And this provides a good order because we've read the intro, 1 through 11, and this is lines 12 through 19. So let's just read this part here and complete 24, and then maybe we can come back to 23. So 24 says in the second paragraph, lines 12 through 19, which we haven't read yet, so we're going to do, what do the authors claim to be a feature of biological interest? So let's read 12 through 19. In the back of our heads, we're going to think, okay, what do the authors claim to be? What's the feature biological interest? The first feature, here we go, claim to be the feature. It says feature of our structure, which is of biological interest, is that it contains not of one chain, but of two. These two chains are both coiled around a common fiber axis. It has often been assumed that since there was only one chain in the chemical formula, there would be one in the structural unit. However, the density taken with the X-ray evidence suggests very strongly that there are two. So it says right here, the first feature of our structure, which is of biological interest, is that it contains not one chain, but two. So our own answer is we can just rip it right from the passage that there are two chains. So let's eliminate the ones that are least like our answer. The chemical formula of DNA, no. The common fiber axis, no. The X-ray evidence, no. DNA consisting of two chains. Perfect. Now, 25 says the author's main purpose of including the information about X-ray evidence and density is to, well, we've already read that. So might as well do 25 before we do 23. It says, however, the density taken with the X-ray, so they thought it was one. It has often been assumed that there was only one chain. However, the density taken with X-ray evidence suggests that very strongly that there are two. So the X-ray evidence proves that there are two chains rather than one. So it says the author's main purpose of including the information about X-ray evidence and density is to, again, show that there are two chains. And it says it right here. However, the density taken with the X-ray evidence suggests very strongly that there are two. Now instead of picking the right answer, let's eliminate the wrong ones. Establish that DNA is the molecule that carries the genetic information. Does that mean show that there are two chains or prove that there are two chains? No. Present an alternate hypothesis about the composition of a nucleotide. No, that doesn't sound right. Provide support for the author's claim about the number of chains in a molecule of DNA. That seems okay. Let's keep this. Confirm the relationship between the density of DNA and the known chemical formula of DNA. No, this is the most like what we just said, and it's proven right here. Now let's read the rest of the passage in order to complete questions 23 and 26. So lines 20 through 30. The other biologically important feature is the manner in which the two chains are held together. This is done by hydrogen bonds between the bases. The bases are joined together in pairs, a single base from one chain being hydrogen bonded to a single base from the other. The important point is that only certain pairs of bases will fit into the structure. One member of a pair must be a purine and the other a pyrimidine in order to bridge between the two chains. If a pair consisted of two purines, for example, there would not be room for it. So let's go back to 23. A student claims that nitrogenous bases pair randomly with one another. Which of the following statements in the passage contradicts the student's claim? Well, at the end, we read one member of a pair must be a purine and the other must be a pyrimidine in order to bridge between the two chains. So they don't pair randomly. So this occurs in what, 27, starting from 27. So the student claims that the bases pair randomly, but here that contradicts it. And that's lines 27 through 29, what we just read. So A, B, and C have to be wrong because it says it right here. Now let's go to 26. Based on the passage, the author's statement, if a pair consisted of two purines, for example, there would not be room for it, implies that a pair, so it says one member must be purine, so it has to be purine, and the other must be a pyrimidine. So that's how the pair should be. And it says if a pair consisted of two purines, purine and purine, there would not be room. So this is too big. So what does that imply? Well, a pair of purines is bigger than this is greater than this. So we just answered it ourselves. Now let's go to the answer choices and eliminate the ones that don't make sense. Implies that a pair of purines would be larger than the space between a sugar and a phosphate group. Well, we said a pair of purines would be larger than a purine and pyrimidine, so I don't think this is quite right. B, a pair of purines would be larger than a pair consisting of a purine and pyrimidine. Okay, this is what we said. Implies that a pair of pyrimidines would be larger than a pair of purines. It doesn't say that. Implies that a pair of purines and a pyrimidine would be larger than a pair of pyrimidines, which is not what we just said. So B is exactly what we said. So again, we are reading, we're using the piece by piece method to kind of just read the passage in pieces and also answer the questions. Now, we don't necessarily have to do the questions in order. As you can see, I did questions 24 and 25 before I did 23 and 26. Now, you can do the order whichever way you want, but the important point is to read piece by piece, because if you read the entire passage, then it's going to be really hard to absorb. Again, this is a very dense science-based passage. So the more you break it up into pieces, the easier it will be to absorb and then answer the questions. So I'll see you in the next video where we will continue on with this passage.